Most people spend hours sitting at their desk, highlighter in hand, eyes glued to the page. They reread the same sentence again and again. And when the exam finally comes, they realize 80% of what they studied is already gone. It's frustrating. You put in the time, you sacrifice sleep, you push yourself harder than ever, and yet the results don't match the effort. But let me ask you this. What if the problem isn't you? What if the way you've been studying is the real issue? And what if I told you there's a study routine so powerful, so effective, that it almost feels like cheating? Now, before you think I'm about to give you some magical shortcut or quick hack, let me be clear. This isn't about tricks. This isn't about cramming or copying someone else's notes. This is about a smarter system, one that's backed by science, a system that doesn't rely on brute force, but instead makes every minute of your study actually count. So if you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or discouraged, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll have a study routine that finally works with your brain, not against it. The problem with traditional studying: when most students sit down to study, what do? They grab the textbook, they reread the same chapters over and over again. They take a highlighter and cover every line in neon yellow. Some even wait until the night before the exam and try to cram everything into one long, exhausting session. But here's the problem. Science shows these methods don't actually work. Rereading feels productive, but your brain quickly tunes out. Highlighting makes the page look colorful, but it doesn't make the information stick. And cramming, it tricks you into short-term recall, but within days, most of it disappears. Why do we keep using these methods then? Because they create what psychologists call the illusion of learning. It's the false confidence you get when you see the same material multiple times. You think, yes, I know this, but in reality, you've only recognized it. You haven't truly learned it. I still remember back in college, I used to sit at my desk for hours rereading the same biology notes, page after page, highlighter in hand, and every time I saw those bold, colorful lines, I thought to myself, perfect, I've got this. But then the test came. And the questions weren't about recognizing sentences from the textbook. They asked me to explain, apply, connect. And suddenly, all those glowing yellow highlights meant nothing. That's the trap of traditional studying. It makes you feel like you're learning, when in reality, you're just spinning your wheels. So the real question is, if these hard work methods don't work, what does? And how can you build a study routine that actually sticks, one that turns your effort into real, lasting knowledge? The science of effective learning. Here's the truth about learning. It's not about how many hours you spend bent over a book. It's not about how many pages you highlight or how late you stay up the night before a test. Real learning is about one thing: how your brain encodes information and how it retrieves it when you need it most. Think of your brain like a muscle. If you only look at a dumbbell, nothing happens. If you lift it once, sure, you feel a little strain. But it's only through repeated, intentional effort that the muscle grows stronger. Learning works the same way. It's not about staring at the material. It's about engaging with it, testing it, and strengthening those neural connections. And science gives us 3 powerful methods that do exactly that. First, active recall. Instead of just reviewing your notes, you test yourself. You close the book and try to explain the idea in your own words. You answer practice questions without looking at the answer key. It feels harder, sometimes even uncomfortable, but that's the point. The act of pulling knowledge out of your brain strengthens memory far more than simply putting it in. Second, spaced repetition. Most students cram everything in one night, but your brain doesn't work that way. It needs time to consolidate. Spaced repetition means you review the material at increasing intervals. Today, then 2 days later, then a week later, then a month later. Every time you revisit it, your memory gets deeper, stronger, until the knowledge feels unshakable. Interleaving. This one surprises people. Instead of focusing on just one subject or one type of problem, you mix them up. You might practice math problems, then switch to vocabulary, then go back again. Why? Because in the real world, problems don't come neatly labeled. Your brain learns to adapt, to recognize patterns, to retrieve knowledge in different contexts. When you combine these methods, active recall, spaced repetition, and interleaving, something amazing happens. You study less, but remember more. Your effort doesn't feel wasted anymore, and the results, they almost feel unfair. That's why I said earlier, this routine feels like cheating, because compared to traditional studying, it's almost night and day. Your brain isn't working against you anymore. It's finally working with you. And that brings us to the next big question. How do you actually apply these principles in your daily routine? What does this look like, step by step, in real life? The study routine framework. Now that you know why traditional studying fails and you've seen the science of what actually works, let's put it all together into a step-by-step study routine. This is the framework I wish I had back in school, a routine that feels structured yet simple and designed to work with your brain, not against it. So here's exactly what a daily study session could look like. Step 1, preparation, 5 to 10 minutes. Before you even open your book, pause. Set a clear goal for the session, not something vague like study history, but specific. Review chapters 3 and 4 and be able to explain the main causes of the French Revolution. This clarity is everything, because when you know where you're going, your brain sharpens its focus. Then structure your time using the Pomodoro method, 25 to 30 minutes of deep focus, followed by a 5-minute break. This rhythm keeps your mind fresh and prevents burnout. Step 2, active recall first, 30 to 40%. Most people start by reading, but in this system, you start by remembering. Close the book, quiz yourself on what you studied yesterday. Use flashcards. Write down everything you know about a topic from memory. Or better yet, explain it out loud, as if you're teaching a friend. Why begin this way? Because it forces your brain to retrieve knowledge instead of just passively seeing it. It strengthens memory like nothing else. Step 3, spaced repetition scheduling, 30 to 40%. Next, you revisit material systematically. This is where spaced repetition comes in. You can use apps like Anki or Quizlet or a simple paper notebook system. Here's how it works. Review yesterday's material, review last week's material, review last month's material. Each time you return to it, your brain reinforces the memory until it becomes nearly impossible to forget. This step alone is what separates average students from exceptional ones. Step 4, focused deep work, 20 to 30%. Now it's time for new material, but instead of skimming or highlighting, you dive in with full concentration. Read actively, take structured notes, and as soon as you finish a section, pause, then summarize the key ideas in your own words. Because the act of rephrasing forces you to process deeply. It transforms information from words on a page into knowledge your brain truly owns. Step 5, closing routine. Finally, end with reflection. Ask yourself, what did I actually learn today? Write down 3 to 5 key insights. Then look ahead. Plan what you'll study in the next session. That way, when you sit down tomorrow, you don't waste energy deciding, you just start. And that's the full framework. Prepare with clarity. Test yourself first. Review systematically. Dive deep into new content. And close with reflection and planning. It's simple, it's structured, and it transforms studying from a painful grind into a process that actually works. And the best part, once this routine becomes a habit, you'll stop dreading study sessions and start looking forward to them. Because every time you sit down, you'll know your effort is paying off. Bonus cheat-like tactics. Now, before we wrap up, let me share a few bonus tactics. These are the little strategies that make your studying feel almost unfair because they multiply the results of everything you've already learned. Think of them as cheat codes, backed by science. Tactic 1, the teaching method. One of the fastest ways to know if you truly understand something is to explain it as if you're teaching a beginner. Not to impress them, but to simplify. If you can break a complex idea into simple words, your brain has fully processed it. If you struggle, that's your signal. Go back and reinforce. Tactic 2, dual coding. Our brains are wired for visuals. When you combine text with images, diagrams, charts, mind maps, you create multiple pathways for memory. So instead of just reading notes, draw them. Turn key concepts into visuals. That way, when you sit in the exam room, you don't just remember words, you remember pictures. Tactic 3, sleep and spacing. Here's something most students overlook. Your brain doesn't learn during study, it learns while you sleep. When you review material before bed, your brain consolidates it overnight. Then, when you revisit the same material the next morning, you lock it in even deeper. It's one of the simplest, most powerful hacks you can use. Tactic 4, environment control. Distractions are the enemy of focus. Every notification, every open tab steals just a little bit of your mental energy. So create a study zone that's distraction free, phone out of sight, desk clear, one task in front of you. When your environment is clean, your brain can finally go deep. Tactic 5, habit stacking. Finally, make studying automatic. Don't rely on willpower, tie it to routines you already have. For example, after breakfast, I sit down for my first study session. Or, right after my workout, I review flashcards for 10 minutes. By attaching studying to existing habits, you remove friction, and consistency becomes effortless. These bonus tactics might seem small, but when you add them on top of the study framework we built earlier, the results can feel almost like cheating. You'll retain more, you'll forget less, and most importantly, you'll finally feel in control of your learning. Mindset and lifestyle integration. Up to this point, we've talked about systems, routines, and tactics. But here's the truth. Learning isn't just about tricks. It's about consistency. The best study method in the world means nothing if you only use it once. Real progress comes when studying stops being a one-off task and becomes part of your lifestyle. Think of it like fitness. Going to the gym once won't transform you, but showing up day after day, pushing yourself little by little, that's what builds strength. Studying works the same way. It's not about heroic all-nighters. It's about small daily wins, the kind that seem tiny in the moment but compound into mastery over time. So instead of asking, how can I force myself to study today? Start asking, how do I make learning part of who I am? Because once you shift that mindset, studying stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like growth. Remember, discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. And when you treat learning as a lifestyle, not just a task, you won't just pass exams, you'll unlock potential you didn't even know you had. Closing call to action. So let's bring it all together. This study routine isn't magic. It's not about shortcuts. It works because it's aligned with how your brain actually learns, through recall, repetition, focus, and reflection. And here's my challenge for you. Don't just watch this video and move on. Try this routine for just 7 days, 1 week, and I promise you'll start seeing results faster than you imagined. You'll feel more confident. You'll remember more with less effort. And studying will finally stop feeling like a battle and start feeling like progress. Now, if you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe because I'll be sharing more life-changing strategies like this one. Share this video with a friend who's struggling with studying because sometimes one shift in routine can completely change someone's future. And tell me in the comments, which part of this routine will you try first? I'd love to hear your plan. Remember, it's not about how hard you work. It's about how smart you study. Take this routine, make it yours, and unlock the potential that's been inside you all along.